Yo, what is up, everyone? Nick here. Happy Sunday morning. Hopefully, you got your coffee with you. And we're going to be looking at books that are coming out next month. This is the Comic Book Look Ahead. This is a show I try to do monthly where we go over whatever we're trying to pick up next month, checking it out, making sure the poll lists are up to date. And I need to go back and see. FOC is like today or tomorrow, depending on your shop or your situation. So I need to go back and see which books are affected by that, just in case you need to update those poll lists. But just jumped out of bed and got my coffee, and here we are to get things going right now. We got Eric already lingering in the chat. What's going on, man? If you haven't checked out Eric yet, amazing reviews, and they're doing a bunch of shows with Stu. Dr. Dude's Fan Club Wednesday nights. So make sure to check those guys out. They're like alternating shows, I believe, right now. So go give Eric Nine Panel Grid a sub if you have not yet. So let's get into it. So first things first, I pinned my how-to video. It's actually 3 years old now. My how-to video on how to use this particular website. So it should be pinned right there at the top of your chat. So if you don't see it, just let me know. And you can follow along with that. And again, it's 3 years old, so forgive the quality of that. But it'll give you everything, all the knowledge you need to like search for books and set up a poll list and see how that all works and use the community tab and things like that. So that's what's going on right there. So let's go ahead and share the screen. And let me see if there's a better way to like show this. That might be the best way to kind of prioritize the books right there. But so what we're going to do is we're going to go week by week in November, just see what's coming out. Go ahead and put in the comments, so like what you are excited for. If I'm passing a book that you are just like in love with, let me know, because that's the point of this conversation, right? To share what we love and to put books on our radars that we might have otherwise have skipped. So if you want to follow along, we're over at leagueofcomicgeeks.com. We clicked on the new comics icon right here on the left side, and then you have to adjust your week to November 6th. So that's how we can be synced up on the page right here. The other piece of advice I would give you is use the Opera browser, because Opera browser has built-in pop-up blockers, and this site has now become almost unusable in like Chrome and things like that, because the pop-ups are insane. Even Opera's in-house like pop-up blocking system is not totally effective, but it certainly is better than using Google Chrome or something like that. So otherwise you'd have all these banners pop up from all over the place and it would just drive you absolutely nuts. So get on League of Comic Geeks, use the Opera browser, and you're going to be all set. Navigate to that November 6th week right here, and then let's start going through it right now. So I don't have, this is not logged into my account, so you're not going to see like what books I have on my poll list, but I can just kind of run down real quick and show you what I'm into. And then, like I said, jump in the comments, let me know what you're picking up. So let's go ahead and start with the first week right here. We have Batman 154. So coming out of the Chip run, um, you know, it has its ups and downs for sure. He's still on the writing duties for this, but he will be coming off soon. I don't exactly remember when. Looks like we have Jeff Loeb on 158. So here very soon, Chip is going to be relieving those writing duties and moving on from Batman. So, if you like the fail-safe arc, if you like the Zur-En-Arrh stuff, that's been wrapping up. It's just been kind of meandering since then. And so here we are with Batman 154. I'll probably check it out just to see like where it's going. And then I'm not sure if it'll be like a monthly poll for me, to be honest with you. There's so many Batman books out right now, and like the in continuity Batman is sometimes the least interesting one of all of them. So who knows right there. But Saga, issue number 70, amazing cover on that one. Definitely gonna be picking that one up. Ultimates I'm still hanging out with, even though it's kind of bouncing all over the place. And we're gonna get what is it, like a year in review kind of an issue pretty soon. So we'll see what that one has in store for us. Joe, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you. We're over at League of Comic Geeks, man. It's pinned up at the top of the comments if you want to follow along with the first week of November. Absolute Superman. So the absolute titles have been great so far. Jason Aaron's going to be on this one. We had Absolute Wonder Woman just be amazing this past week. And then we had Absolute Batman the previous week or something like that. And they were both great books. So I think Wonder Woman's getting a lot of love right now. We have the last member of the Trinity. We have Superman coming very soon. So that should be pretty cool. Going to be checking that one out for sure. X-Men issue number 7. It's a series I'm waiting on, guys. I don't know. I pretty much dropped all the new X-Men books, but I'll still be reading them like in the background. But I'm not super excited for most of them anymore. Uncanny's the one that's kind of pushing through for me at the moment. But we have X-Men number 7. Something's Killing the Children, issue number 0. I think this is like a prequel book. Let's see what's going on right here. I wanted to say, let's see. Yeah, the mission preceding, yeah, where the entire story began. So this is kind of like a prequel book. Who knows if it'll capture that same magic that we had back in the day for Something's Killing the Children. That book seems to be kind of wandering around right now. So not too sure, how excited I'm going to be besides buying frozen covers for that one right there. Making action covers, yeah, a weekly book, man. I don't know about that. I wasn't reading it when it wasn't weekly. There was moments, there was a few, writers that would pop in and, like, spice things up, and I would hang out and read it, but then, I'm not like a every single week, every single time kind of a reader for action for sure. Yeah, so, yeah, good call there. We have Fable, 1 collection down. Make sure to check him out too. We're gonna be coming back with Blame Fable at the end of November, so, pay attention to social medias for exactly when. I believe it's gonna be the last, Friday night of that month. So, yeah, make sure to check them out and, pay attention to our schedules, man. We're gonna be having some shows popping up here and there, so you don't wanna miss those things for sure. So we have Green Arrow, Avengers issue number 20. Not really picking any of this up at the moment. Poison Ivy, I'll just be cover grabbing depending on who's doing it. Aliens vs. Avengers issue number 2. It's been a while since we've seen issue number 1, but we have Rubik on the art. We have Hickman on the writing. And so you can't really go wrong with that duo right there. And it was very interesting issue number 1. So we'll definitely be picking up issue number 2. John's Comics with Kids. Good morning, man. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. I know you've been doing a lot of traveling lately, seeing some of the Seattle crew and whatnot. So appreciate you popping in, saying hi. Make sure to check out John too. He's got an amazing Saturday morning stream. He does a bunch of stuff as well on the X-Men and whatnot. So make sure to check out John. He's a really, really, really cool guy. X-Force issue number 5. I dropped X-Force around issue number 2 or 3. I just couldn't connect with the team, the goals that they had, whatever. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't. It had the same problem a lot of the X books had, which was I just never could get connected with the stories, even just with so few issues in right now. Sometimes when you're reading 15, 20 books a week, and you have 5 or 6 that are just not jiving with you, even if we're 3 issues in, it's hard to justify that cost. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, I think that's one of the books that hit the chopping block for sure. But, guys, let me know if that's a huge mistake, if you've been following it and you guys actually love it. Batgirl issue number 1. It's a number 1, so a lot of people are going to be jumping in over here, seeing what's going on. I'm not super familiar with the creative team on it. Of course, it's going to have some Artgerm covers and whatnot, trying to promote it. And I think this is like either a pose or a direct copy of what we've seen from him before with this character. So I'm not too sure what's going on there, but probably not going to be dipping in there. X Factor, if you're a Mark Russell fan, you can definitely check that out because it has the same kind of vibe a lot of the Mark Russell books have, but it's like shackled in that X-Men universe. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of that kind of stuff. And there's some really interesting characters that he's introduced, like this Granny who's immortal, and she's pretty funny, but she's kind of like, how do we get through this mission kind of a character? Oh, we'll just throw Granny into it and she can solve the problem. So it is pretty cool though. I've been having fun with it, but it's not like a book that blows me away. But I like Mark, so that's what's going on here. Oh, we got some interesting facts. Jed MacKay is only the second writer to write the Avengers and X-Men at the same time since Stan Lee. I heard that somewhere. Where did I hear that? Where'd you hear that? We probably heard it the same place. What was it? It wasn't like Comic Pop or something like that, right? I heard the exact same thing, but I can't place it now. Let me know. That is really interesting, though. I wonder if he is ultra aware of that as well. It's kind of a cool thing to have on your belt, right? All right, Spawn. I'm not reading anything Spawn, so Gunslinger, King, not reading any of that stuff. Venom, I'm staying clear away from, just because it's like saturated, man. There's so much Venom and Carnage and Venomverse and Symbiote and too many books. Too many books. Walking Dead Deluxe issue 100. So I've been getting these like legacy covers. These ones, they're not connecting, but they're at least themed, right? So I think they've been doing it since 97, and I think they continue to 101. So it's going to make a great landscape shot for sure for some throw your sets up Saturday kinds of stuff. So definitely interested in getting that one. Sacrificers number 12. Great book. Continuing to pick that one up, and there may have been a couple issues where it was kind of meandering just a little bit, but it was still interesting every single time. So it's going to make a great collected read if you haven't yet. And I don't know how long this is actually going to go for. Looks like we have solicitations until issue number 14 at least. And so it's part 3 of 4. So who knows? Who knows if it's going to be wrapping up after that or not? Not entirely sure. Another pro tip with League of Comic Geeks: never click on the comic. You always want to like open a new tab, and I could do that with the mouse wheel. So typically in browser, it's just programmed that way. You could just click the mouse wheel and it opens a new tab. If you were to click in the comic itself and then hit back, it'll go back to the current week instead of the week you were looking at. So another pro tip there I always like to throw out whenever we're doing this, in case you're new to the site. Let's see, Plastic Man No More. We have some more Venom War stuff, Spider, Public Domain. Eric, I know you're loving Public Domain. Haven't read that one for quite some time. I Hate Fairyland's always a fun book, at least. Blood Hunters. We're still doing Blood Hunter stuff, huh? That's out there. Conan the Barbarian, Battle of the Blackstone, issue number 3. We had Jim Zub on the channel, and we talked to him about this series and everything. Amazing dude, and he's doing a great job with Savage Sword whenever he's on there, with Conan and with Battle of the Blackstone. So highly recommend checking out those books for sure. Cruel Universe, I'm just cover grabbing at the moment. Let's see, Star Wars, and I'm not reading anything Star Wars or Kid Venom at the moment. Kill All Immortals, nope, no, nothing over here. What are you guys into these weeks? Nemesis. It was a series I was picking up back in Image, but I haven't picked it up since I read the first 2 when it went to Dark Horse, but I feel like the magic or something is off, right? And I'm just not as excited anymore about that book, about Nemesis Rogues Gallery. And so maybe that was a mistake. I don't know, but I wasn't able to get Nightclub, the relaunch for that. I read, what was it, Magic Order, and that was interesting enough. But again, I'm suffering from getting too many books a week. So once you start hitting that 15, issues, 15 to 20 issues a week, it's like, man, do I have the time, first off, to read it? And do I want to spend that much money on stories that aren't blowing me away? And that's where I am right now. All right, let's keep going. Ranger Academy, FML. That's funny. Barfly. I know Stu and Eric are reading Barfly. Have not really gotten into that too much yet. I read the story that this character spins out of, Minor Threats, right? I read that first volume, and it was fine. It was fine. I think the art was really great, though. DuckTales, issue number 1. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be picking this one up. I'm probably going to not get it. I don't know. I'll see how many copies we got at the shop, but Dynamite's relaunching like everything right now. I think there's a lot of success and hype around like Transformers and whatnot from the Image side, but they also did like Johnny Quest and Space Ghost, and they have Thundercats, and we have all this stuff, right? And it's just like, I think everyone's just trying to grab every IP they can and like relaunch it, hoping that it's going to have the same kind of buzz everything else has. And so that unfortunately, that's like the bias that I feel now whenever I see things like this. I know DuckTales has been around forever, obviously. There's been comics all over the place, but like whenever I see a new relaunch, that's like the immediate thought I have. So it's like a negativity bias that I have against it. But some pretty cool covers, though. I like that. I'm not familiar at all with the creative team. Brandon Montclair, no idea. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I do. What was it? Didn't Alex Ross do a cover for a DuckTales number 1 that came out a couple of months ago? That was actually a pretty cool story. I do like that. It was like a DuckTales multiverse story, which was pretty funny. Oh, we got Fable. Marvel trying to relaunch a new hero. Yeah, oftentimes miss. Like you said, there's always, yeah, we're oversaturated with other IPs, with other books or homage characters. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, do you think they're ever going to say that Miles is Spider-Man now instead of Miles Morales Spider-Man? Is that ever going to happen? Is Tony Stark ever going to step down? Is Jonathan Kent ever going to be Superman? You know what I mean? Just insert whatever hero. Are we ever going to do that? Is Dick Grayson going to be Batman? Or Damian? What's FML about? I don't know. Let's go up a little bit and just see. It's a Dark Horse number 1. Kelly Sue DeConnick is on it. Dave Lopez is on it as well. Clayton Cowles on the letters, of course, because he's on a third of the books nowadays. Not too sure. Let's see here. Looks like it's going to be a bunch of teenagers going around, high school, lots of tempers, music, some partying, things like that. So it looks like it's going to be like young teenage angst, drama, goth, heavy metal, punk rock kinds of stuff. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you might enjoy that. You could check that out. Yeah, hit or miss for me. I'm not from I can't even pull up, like, the mental bank of what they've done. I have no idea. No scrunchy variant? No kidding. Yeah, where's the Frank Miller variant on that? Yeah, I think so for sure. Yeah, and I think that's my negativity bias, like I said. Every time I see a new number 1 from a franchise that's was a cartoon when I was a kid, I'm like, "I see what you're doing." And then sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Like Johnny Quest, I loved it at first, and now I'm just like, I don't know." But Space Ghost is still amazing. Every issue is just great. Uncle Scrooge, thank you. That's what it was. Might be the next Grommets. Do we need it? Yeah, exactly. I think you're right, but do we need another Grommets? I don't know. I think Grommets is doing great, but you see that a lot too, especially with movies. Like whenever one studio puts out like a natural disaster movie, a month later, the next studio will do the same thing. Same thing in comics. You see one weird sci-fi thriller book that comes out from a prominent writer, and then you see two more come out for writers you're not really familiar with. It's like, what are you guys doing? We already have a great example of what that was. The only time that really worked well was a couple of years ago in the wrestling scene when we had like Hell's a Squared Circle and we had Do a Power Bomb and we had Crimson Cage, like three wrestling books in the same 6 months, and it was amazing. And every one of them was great. Like any one of them could have been pick of the year. That was a weird exception to that rule. All right, what's going on up here? Not reading any of these, to be honest with you. Duck and Cover, Free Agents. Of course, we have Facsimile, Sickness, Crow. Nope, not reading any of them. Little Batman, month 1, number 1. I might check that out just because it's intriguing. I want to see what that's about, but it's going to be I don't know. It could be fun, or it could just be whatever. Guilt Frame issue number 3. That's a great book. If you're into Matt Kint, I believe his mom is helping him with this one too. It's a murder mystery story set in France about around some art dealer, things like that. And they're extra size. They're like 40 plus issues per thing. Square bound, Dark Horse, $9.99. And it's been a great read so far. Does it tell me how many pages? Sometimes it does. 64 pages. So if you have the $9.99 heartburn with a single issue book, it's 2.5 times your standard comic, depending on what kind of comics you're reading. Sometimes 3 times. So that price point shouldn't be too much of a problem when you have that kind of perspective. Jay, what's up? Thanks for coming in. How you doing? Good morning. Yeah, I love the wrestling push. Do a Powerbomb is my favorite. Do a Powerbomb was amazing. Yeah, week 1's looking a little bit light. We'll do a quick recap as I scroll through. I don't want to take too long per week here. As we go down, these books become a little bit more obscure, but there's always some gems here and there. So let's keep going. Let's see what's going on. The Fade, Skin Police. Eric, I think you read Skin Police number 1, right? Let's keep going. Rome, RuneScape. Yeah, I'm going to be kind of blasting through these. One thing I didn't do is turn off variants and things like that, because like the Mood is Foulest number 1 third print, or the reprints rather. Not too. I don't really care to see those most of the time, but sometimes it's good to know. Rock and Roll Biography, Suicidal Tendencies. That's on my list, so hopefully that does come in. It's a little bit obscure. It's from 10 Ton Press, but yeah, I have that on my poll. And then Planetary Expansion from Critical Entertainment. That's on the poll as well. So yeah, I try to pick up anything that they're putting out. Yeah, great team there. Yeah, Skin Police number 1 was crazy cool. Yeah, I didn't end up reading that one, but I saw you guys cover it on your show. What else we got? Hyde Street. I loved issue number 1. It's pretty cool. Second print's coming out in case you missed it. Let's keep going. Power Fantasy number 1, 4th print. There you go. Hey, there's your Scrunch. Falling in Love in the Path to Hell, second print, 1 in 10. There's your Scrunch. What you're asking about. What else? We're probably going to get to the end here. Let me just do like a quick pan down real quick. Yeah, that's pretty much it for there. All right, let's go to the next week. You can just hit this little right arrow and it takes you right where we need to be. Absolute Batman issue number 2. Loved issue number 1. We're going to be picking that one up for sure. Checking it out. I'm not reading ASM or Action like we covered. Ultimate X-Men, I actually removed it from my poll. Again, too many books. And the story is kind of confusing anyways. And I think the story would be good. I feel like I feel like her methodology for telling the story though is a little bit off, and I don't quite know what to do with that. And yeah, I don't know. Didn't haven't quite been enjoying it completely. I think it's the delivery. I think it's her storytelling process that's messing me up. I think that's what's got me there. Uncanny X-Men is actually probably my favorite X-Men title that has relaunched. So we have issue number 5 out right now. And yeah, that's probably my favorite one. So anyone know if Ed Brubaker has another hardcover coming out? That's an Eric question. Eric, help him out. Herm, what's going on, dude? Thanks for coming in. Good morning, man. We are in week number 2, dude. So if you're following along, week number 2. So Uncanny is probably worth it. It's been fun so far. Transformers issue number 14. A great fan service issue number 13. So I think, if you liked everything you've been reading so far in Transformers, obviously keep picking it up. We have issue number 14 coming. Green Lantern, Venom. We already talked about Venom. Let's keep going. Batman and Robin. Haven't been reading that. Although there was that new Batman and Robin book. What was it? Year 1 that came out last week. I loved that book. So I'll be picking up that version of Batman and Robin. So there's always a flavor of the characters that you can dip into, check out, and enjoy. You don't have to get them all. But yeah, we have issue number 15. Deadpool, Spectacular, NYX, Radiant, G.I. Joe number 1, probably one of the biggest books on this list so far. Lots of cool variant covers. Of course, I'm getting the Frizzen because that's what you do. But I'm also getting cover A, so I'll be dipping into that. Is it a wraparound? I can't remember. Might be. Yeah, wraparound cover. That's cool. But there's a lot of great covers for this book. So that's probably the biggest one we've seen so far. So G.I. Joe, for sure. Space Ghost number 7. Number 6 somehow was not on my list. I forgot to pre-order it. So I'm like, crap. So I have a gap for Space Ghost number 6. Otherwise, it would have been in my Nick at Night review last night, but it wasn't. So I'll be jumping back in at number 7, trying to get number 6. I don't even know what it was about. So I got to go back and figure that out. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Helen of Windhorn issue number 6, one of my favorite series out right now. It's just a great book with Tom King and Bilquis Evely, and we have Lopes on the coloring as well. Great creative team, same team from a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and that was like one of my picks of the year that year. And so we have Helen of Windhorn, great book. So you can check that one out. Issue number 6. It'll be collected, of course, later, probably in hardcover. So that would be a great book to sit down and read in one big collection. I think that would be amazing. So we have Stu coming in here. He's about to head to work. Wanted to say, hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming in. All right. What else we got going on? Psylocke issue number 1. Kind of staying away from all these single character new relaunches. I've read a few of them. None of them have really hit me. So Psylocke's not a character that I super connect with anyways. So I'm like, no, probably not. Let's check out, though, who's writing it. Yeah, so we have Alyssa Wong on here. Familiar with the writing, but not enough for me to want to grab that book. Batman Dark Age issue number 6, Mark Russell doing some amazing work over in DC. So if you're wanting a Mark Russell book and you're not really connecting with X Factor, get Batman Dark Age, right? Issue number 6, and it is crazy good. So you can get that one and kind of satisfy that Mark Russell hunger you got right there. Minor Arcana issue number 3, great book from Jeff Lemire. He's on the writing, he's on the art, of course. And if you like Jeff Lemire, you're going to like this book. So how about that? That's another great one to do that. Let's walk on Psylocke. Yeah, I figured, yeah, you guys will know more about that than me. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, that makes me more interested in it. How about that? I can't say Helen of Windhorn without an English accent. I can't imagine what that would sound like because I'm horrible with accents. So that is funny. All right, let's keep going. Epitaphs from the Abyss. I was cover grabbing those, but like, I think I'm still going to cover grab them. But I think it's 12 issues, and I don't know if I want 12 issues of something I'm not reading. That's kind of my mindset nowadays. It's like, do I want to just cover grab these things or just covers? I have certain exceptions, obviously, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I want 12 books sitting on my shelf that I'll never read, to be honest. Terminator issue number 2. Once I heard this is an anthology series, I got less and less excited about it. Is that right? Correct me down below. But I did not enjoy issue number 1, to be honest. I was confused about what the Terminator was doing with that couple. They were on the run. What were they hiding? They were hiding maybe evidence of a son that they had or something like that, and it just kind of ended. So I don't know. Is this supposed to be a continuation? I'm not too sure. It looks like we're going back to set 1975. Um, so I don't know. There's rumors about a one-man Charlie platoon. Guys, just read Junkyard Joe. If you want that vibe, just read Junkyard Joe. It's so good. Okay, let's keep going. Star Wars Ewoks, not reading any of that kind of stuff. Violator, Black Cloak issue number 7. I gotta read issue number 9 again. I like the first volume. There's something going on with her writing style and the art in some of the panels. Some of the panels in those books, there's usually one or two instances where I'm looking at it, I'm like, I have no idea what's even happening in this panel. Like the way that it's constructed confuses me a lot, but it's a cool world that they built and interesting characters in it. And there's lots of drama and dynamics. And I like that. And the coloring is great. The art's great, but there's some moments in there where the art could be a little more clear. And maybe even the writing itself, it feels a little bit, it doesn't quite match the realm. You know what I mean? So like maybe something needs to change there, but overall it's a cool story. And I didn't read issue number 9. So issue number 10 is going to be here before you know it. Is this going to be a book that kind of falls to the side? It might. I don't know. We'll see. I was confused with Terminator number 1. 2, I was on the fence with issue number 2, but decided it wasn't worth my money. Yeah. I mean, when you have a new number 1 coming out, you got to like knock it out of the park, right? You got to do so much to like gain that reader's trust. And so they have to spend $5 next month, you know? Hate to admit it, but I think I'm gonna read the 2 pages from sale in the store. Yeah. Well, that was the thing too, like, he was on a press tour. First off, huge fan of Comic Pop. Love I watch their stuff all the time, because I haven't read everything, and it's a great comedic, entertaining way to understand these stories just from them. Like, in an hour and a half, you can get an entire saga told in a funny way with a couple different opinions, and they rip it apart, but they also praise it. So, like, it's a great format show. Love that show. When I heard he was going to be writing the backstory, I'm like, oh, we're going to get 5, 6 pages, because I'm used to like the DC backstories with like Dan Waters and all this stuff, right? Where you get like 5 pages of backstory, and it was just like 2 pages, and they weren't necessarily that informing. And I'm like, oh man, I wish it was more. You know, maybe that was the idea. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for coming in too. I appreciate you, man. I see you in the comments and stuff, so I appreciate you watching and commenting on my stuff, dude. Appreciate you. All right, Salmon Twitch, Violator. Yeah, I'm not reading any of this stuff. Let's go down to the next row. Precious Metal issue number 6. It's going to be really hard for me not to seriously call this one the book of the year. I know I've been saying it pretty much every single time it comes out. It's by my pick of the week every time it's come out, and a collected edition is going to be amazing. And we're going to be talking to this creative team soon, so we got to set that all up and everything. They were both at Ian and Darcy were at New York Comic Con recently, and they got to hang out, and it was just really cool to see them like connecting face to face and like, you know, checking out each other's art and things like whatever. So it was really cool to see them. It's an amazing story. I can't say it enough. If you haven't read Little Bird, you're gonna have a cool perspective because it's in the same universe set 35 years in the past. You could read Precious Metal, and then you can go into Little Bird being informed about the history of some of these characters, or you can do what we did and read Little Bird first, and then go back and make all those connections after the fact, kind of like a Star Wars situation, right? So either order is okay, I would imagine. If you want the legacy ordering, then to read Little Bird first and go Precious Metal, or you can just go from Precious Metal on. So there you go. I hear good things about this Precious Metal book. No, I was not. So I figured you were. I miss seeing you out there, dude, and I'm sure you were talking. You were lugging around your cart. What did you go, man? Did you go, and what did you pick up? Who was on your list? I know you got a list. Robbie was there, and Scotty. That's fun. He was there as well. So, you know, if you're walking around, you might have seen them. Robbie's probably heading home today. We got a show tonight, unless he's gonna do it remote. So, are you talking about Transformers E? Yeah. Yeah, British Metal is awesome. I know you like that one too. Making sure I didn't miss any comments, guys. Hang on. All right, we're good to go. All right. The domain, complimentary book to public domain. So if you're reading that one, you might want to dip into the domain as well. If you didn't know that those existed, it's the story within a story. So you can check that one out. I Heart Skull Crusher. I read issue number 1. It just wasn't enough. It's very manga inspired. So if you're into that stuff, you might enjoy that one. Lilith number 3. I read number 1 because Zoe Thorogood had a cover for it. I just want to check it out. And it wasn't something I'm going to be interested in long term for sure. Batman Uncovered, it's just a book of covers. So if you want to spend $5 on a book of covers, there it is. They did a Poison Ivy one. They did a Harley one in the past as well, and they may have done some other ones, but just so you know, it's a $5 cover book, essentially. Savage Dragon at $2.73. I dip in and out of that book. That book is nuts. So, yeah. Yeah, but it's yeah. Oh, really? Oh, you go, okay, you saw Robbie, but you didn't see Scotty. Okay, cool. Yeah, they had some good artists there. Some of them, artists and writers. They had some that were there last year. I think Kyle Starks was there for sure. There was a lot of people there, and so it would have been a show that if there was like two or three more great names, it would have been something it would be hard for me to miss. How about that? Otherwise, it was pretty decent. So hopefully you had a good time there. How was the new venue? It was at a new venue. What'd you think about the new venue? Because I've been to the old venue a few times now, and I was getting the lay of the land, and I was happy about that. Parking was easy, getting there was easy, navigating it was easy. How was the new one? It was more downtown Memphis, right? By the river, I think. All right, let's keep going. Life issue number 3. If you're in this distillery stuff, that's out there. Johnny Quest. I'm probably not going to keep getting Johnny Quest, to be honest. Keep going. Something crawled out. Star Wars, not getting any of that stuff. Looney Tunes, Black Hammer, Heat Seeker, Toxic Avenger. No, 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 no. We have Garfield, Gru, Batman, Borderlands. I'm trying to find something that I'm actually picking up. I can't believe there's so many books each week. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Geiger number 7, 7th print. That was a cool issue, kind of like a step away. A precious metal book. That's cool. They made a book of yeah, no kidding. That'd be awesome. Like the old one better, but for the amount of people they had, this one makes a lot more sense. Yeah, it was getting a little bit busy at that place. And they remember that. So you remember you walk in, there's like that one long corridor, right? Where they had like a bunch of people, non-comic people, whatever, right? And then you make that first turn and there's like all those vendors, right? It's like toys and whatever. And then there's some creators in there too. It branches out and then it goes to the back room, past like where the food is and things like that. That's where all like the creators are. It gets pretty like packed in that middle room sometimes, especially like on Saturdays and whatnot. Refuse to buy another distillery book over price, bad art, bad stories. Yeah, you may as well pass on all of them. Yeah, I can't argue with any of that, to be honest. Like, we all know that storing those kinds of books are a pain, and I've yet to read a distillery book that like blew me away. And we have like some of the best creators in the game right now apparently being able to do whatever they want, tell whatever story they want, but none of them have been great so far. So there's not like a single distillery book that I can recall. Correct me, guys, in the chat, that like has so much buzz that like everyone's like, you got to read this book. Like, where's that distillery book? If that distillery book exists, let me know. And don't say Somna, because that was not that book is not great. All right, let's keep going. That's an end for week 2. Week 3, Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 11. Oh, we got Sal in here. What's up, dude? Thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate all your support. Being in the chat, being a member, commenting and everything. You're awesome, dude. Appreciate you. Yeah, you don't see any reason for that oversized format from Distillery. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it's just like part of the gimmick of they needed to do something to help differentiate themselves, I guess, from a production standpoint and from like a display standpoint, maybe. I don't know. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was excited for a lot of them. Like all the first generation books that came out, I picked them all up and I read them all, and I'm like, okay. Tynan's book, Spectrograph, I think it was called. I was like, okay, there might be something there, but is this going to suffer from the Tynan effect? Scott Snyder's book came out about the white boat. I'm like, okay, but I've read enough Scott Snyder now, so I can kind of see where this is going. Like the vibe is the same in a lot of his books. And then I read the Jock book, and I'm like, okay, we're in a spaceship, we're flying around, we're stowaways. There's a whole uprising and things like that. I think that's the book you're talking about. What is it called? Gone, I think it was. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And Eric just mentioned it. I'm heading in this direction. Ram V has a book coming out too, and I'm like, man, he's written some of the best stuff I've ever read, and some of the worst stuff, right? And so I'm like, and I think the worst stuff is because of the shackles. So he doesn't have those here. So okay, come on now, let's do it. Up early, love catching the yeah, dude. These 9 o'clock ones, they really mess with like the family vibe on Sunday mornings, but they're very patient with me, so it's all good. Is horrible. Book has always been delayed. Yeah, I mean, like, and that's the thing. And I sometimes help my shop like unpack their books and whatever. And so like I never see a distillery book in there. I can't remember the last one like outside of a book that I ordered. So like it's not a popular thing in my area. So that's really weird. Yeah, just catching up on the chat real quick. Yeah, and I gotta admit, I'm not excited about it, to be honest. I didn't grow up in a period where JRJR was like God though, you know? Like I came into the realm a few years ago. And so like he hasn't done anything that's been like in that amount of time, he hasn't done anything that's earned my like undying loyalty. Oh, I see the word Heroes Con, so we gotta see this real quick. Never been to a big Comic Con before and live near Charlotte and want to go to Heroes Con. How should I prepare for it? And how should I experience it without being overwhelmed? All right, so I went to Heroes Con this past year. Eric's in the chat as well, so share your experiences. And Southern Comics in the chat too. Share your experiences, and anybody, right? So it's downtown Charlotte. It's a big convention center. It's easy to get in and out of. I can't speak for the parking generally in that area, but there's got to be garages and things like that in the area. It's creator focused. So it's not, you say you haven't been to a big Comic Con before, but maybe you've been to like small county ones. Those tend to be voice actors, pop culture figures, old TV show casts, things like that. That's how they focus on smaller cons. This con in particular, Heroes Con, is all about writers and artists. You're going to have vendors as well selling comics and selling pop culture stuff and dice and things like that, but it's a con where it's easy to navigate, it's easy to get to. The floor is not too complicated. It's like a an L shape almost, and it's got so many writers and artists. It's going to be overwhelming from that perspective, but there's not going to be, unless you go to like those legacy Marvel DC guys, Marvel guys especially, the lines for the majority of these people are not going to be that bad. So you can get a lot of stuff done very quickly if your objective is to meet a lot of these writers and artists. And so hotel wise, I mean, you say you're living there, so maybe that's not going to be a problem. You can drive in, you can park, you can get there pretty easily. Go online and get the floor map, and you can kind of plot out and figure out where people are. Otherwise, it's not very difficult to navigate, but it does help going in knowing some details about like where people are. So you can go, okay, I'm going to go to this person first, then this person, then this person, or you can just wander around and see who's around. But the place is so big, you're going to miss people, and there's rows of people too. So like, I would pre-plan. I wouldn't worry about too much about being overwhelmed while you're there. It's not that busy. It is busy, but it's a good space for it, so it doesn't feel busy. Many times during the weekend, I remember talking to the guys and we were saying like, this is actually not that bad. Like the lines are like 20, 30 minutes maybe. And some cons you wait for 2 hours to meet somebody. So yeah, I hope that helps. If you have any more specific questions, let me know though. Let's see. Right. The white book only has 3 books. Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah, Fable, we'll take care of you. Don't worry about that. Yep. You'll be hanging out with us. Yeah, spacious hotels are crazy expensive, and it's humid. Well, it's humid for air because 'cause you're in the West Coast. It wasn't too bad for us, although it was a little bit humid, so and my mic keeps, like or my headset keeps going out, it's really weird. Let me know if it's, like, affecting the stream at all, but, like, I can hear myself talk, and I like that, and it cuts out randomly. I don't know why. Might need a new headset. Yeah, positives totally outweigh the negatives. Oh, of course. And there's a lot of after party stuff too. So like the con's over, but like all the creators, if you're staying at the hotels and even the public spaces in the hotels, you can get access to like the bars and the conference centers. There's so many after party things. So you leave the con, you go get some dinner, you go back to your hotel, maybe shower or whatever, and then you go to like the bar or you go to the conference centers and there's like an auction raffle or there's like 15 creators at the bar full of, and you just walk in and, there's Jim Shooter sitting there and there's a bunch of indie guys and sitting around and, oh, there's Chris Claremont's eating breakfast. You know what I mean? So it's really weird. Yeah, it's really cool. All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's really weird to go deaf all of a sudden and then go, all right, let's get back into the books here. So Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 11, my favorite Ultimate book out. So we're going to keep reading that, obviously. Wonder Woman number 15. I'll be dipping in and out. 14 had a lot of buzz recently with a new character. That's all I'll say, in case you haven't read it. Miles Morales, a book I was in the beginning and then I fell out of because it was just dragging on. Wolverine number 3 hasn't done anything to blow me away yet. We have a lot of Wolverine-centered books right now. So I don't know if we need another one. Daredevil, I'm not reading, unfortunately. Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, read issue number 1. I feel like I've read that issue 5 times in this past Moon Knight run with McKay, to be honest. So that was really weird. Geiger number 8, love that book. It's the second volume, in case you're wondering that. So go back and read the previous volume to get kind of caught up on the character in general. Phoenix number 5. I read the first couple of issues and kind of fell off of it. So, I don't know. We'll see. Batman and Robin Year 1, issue number 2. I loved issue number 1, so I'll definitely be picking that one up. Not reading Department or Catwoman or Thor or Exceptional. So there's that. Storm issue number 2. I think 1 comes out at the end of this month. So this makes sense to have an issue number 2. I might read. Wait, no. Did Storm 1 come out? I think it did. Was that the one where she was, let's see. Yeah, October 2nd. That's right. Yeah. She was having like some kind of anxiety or something. And she was having like weird dreams. Yeah, that's what this one was. I don't know. Didn't really resonate with me, so I don't think I'll be reading that one. Dark Knights is still All Winter number 5, though. That's a great series. I read issue number 4 this past week, and it's really good. So I didn't read volume 1, though. I mention that every time I talk about this book. I didn't read volume 1, so I'm fine so far not having read it because it feels like this is pretty isolated from that. Let me know if I'm wrong, though. Ice Cream Man number 42. This is going to be a really special book. I think this is the one where we have, is this the one where we have a bunch of different people writing one-page horror stories? Is that this one? I think it is. Let me double check. Is it 43? Oh, I guess it's 43. So 43 has a bunch of different people writing, I think, one-page horror stories, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, challenge. Make a horror story in one page long. And we got some great writers in here. We got Zoe, we got Matt Fraction, we got Jeff Lemire, Kelly Sue, we got Jeff Johns, Patton Oswalt, Grant Morrison, and then of course, W. Maxwell Prince as well. So this is gonna be a cool issue. I've never seen anything like that before. That's gonna be really interesting. So that'd be good. Yeah, art was good, but story was bad. Yeah, I think the story was okay. But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Thanos going to Gamora's home planet when she was a kid and wiping it out, and then he adopts her as like a Padawan, That's what it reminds me of. This essentially like God, for lack of better term, comes to a planet, takes out some people, and like wins the admiration of this young girl. It's like, oh, did we do this in the MCU? I don't know. Yeah, if you live that close to Charlotte and you can go for a day, you can get a lot of damage done, and you can do a lot of damage in a day. Like pick Saturday or something like that, it's gonna be the busiest day. But get there first thing, or Friday or something like that. Get there first thing in the morning. Get there a couple hours early. Get in line. Be the first 100, 200 people in there, and you can get a lot done in a day. I think I met 30. I got 30 creators' autographs or remarks on a sheet that I have. It's on my Instagram. You can check it out a few months ago. I met 30 people in 2 days, and it was crazy. And we still had time to walk around and leave the con and go eat and then come back, and do stuff like that. So if you're that close, you have to go. Yeah, the huge stack of exceptional X-Men is sitting on my shop is embarrassing. Yeah, dude, there's a lot of books like that. There's a lot of books that are sitting at comic shops right now, and they're like, man, I thought that was going to be something. It's got to be so hard for them because it's like they want to take chances on books, but it's hard because they have to put that money up front. Like, you guys have to know this, right? Like, they see what books are being pre-ordered by you guys by final order cutoff. Then they use that data in theory to figure out if they should order more copies than that for the shelf, because if the fans love it enough to pre-order it, maybe the general public walking in or whoever will want to pick that book up as well because there's enough buzz around that. And that's hard when you have these new number ones coming out, because it's like it's a new number one. A lot of people are going to be touching base with it that are Wednesday Warriors, but then edition number two comes, and those orders are going to be cut in half. And it's like sometimes those FOCs are really close, and they have to go all in on like one and two, and then they have like 10 copies of number two sitting there, and that's $30 out of the store's pocket. So yeah, it's hard. I don't. It's a lot to overcome, but comics have been around for so long. This practice has been around for so long. I can't believe that no one's cracked that code yet. Like there's not an application out there or some kind of algorithm or something or unified ordering process or something. Everything is so agnostic, like the ordering system versus the distribution versus like the shipping methods and the whatever and the point of sale system. Like some of that stuff integrates, but none of them integrate that I've experienced so far. None of them have integrate in a way that's like, oh, this has to be the standard and it should be developed as a standard and built out. I mean, that's how you develop like a monopoly in the system, but like comics is such a fractured system when it comes to FOC, point of sale, distribution, and like shipping times. It's so messed up. And everyone does it differently, and it's a real pain in the ass. So excited for the Ice Cream Man. Hell yeah. Yeah, you were one of the first guys on Ice Cream Man back in the day, man. You've been on there for a long time, for sure. Guilty pleasure? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm glad that does that for you, for sure. Has W. Maxwell Prince worked for the big two? If not, what book would fit their talents? Yeah, Prince has done big two. I confidently say without having any idea. Looks like he did a little work on Marvel Zomnibus, Marvel Zombie. That looks like it, I guess. Interesting. It would have to be a heady character, I think. I think he would handle like a death character really well. Like think of a depressing character, a dark character, some character that has maybe some kind of like negative thing around them. I think he would handle them really well. Somebody who's psychologically complex. I don't think like a Spider-Man character, he wouldn't. I mean, he might do fine, but like it would have to be a pretty heady Spider-Man. I haven't seen a W. Maxwell Prince with like ton of action. How about that? It's always suspense, drama, in your head kind of stuff. So I think that's what he would work best with. What do you think, though? All right, Power Fantasy number 4. I read issue number 1, didn't connect with it totally. I read like most of issue number 2, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm reading this book. I know there's a lot of fans out there, and I'm glad, but it's just not working for me just yet. G.I. Joe Real American Hero. It's a great complimentary book. It's not in the Energon universe, but if you want a legacy G.I. Joe book, it's been really fun. I've been reading that one on and off for a while. It's really good. Sentinels number 2. It suffers from the same thing I've been talking about with most of the new X titles. So if you really like the new X stuff, you can jump into Sentinels number 2. Cool concept. They changed the idea of what a Sentinel means. So there just wasn't enough there. Great art though. The art's the strongest part. Moon is following us number 3. Denny Warren Johnson and Riley Rasmo, Mike Spicer is doing some really cool stuff in this book. It's very family oriented. So like it's a mother and a father trying to help their child. The child's in like this coma kind of state, but they're actually battling something mentally. And the parents are able to fight that thing and they figure out how in the previous issue. So great series so far. Spider-Man Reign, one of my favorite Marvel books out right now. I didn't read volume 1. Volume 2 is amazing. So you can check that one out. We have a new Question book coming out. Question is head of security now on the new Watchtower in the All In series. So this is probably going to be like a day in a life kind of a book of the Question having to be the security detail at the Watchtower, and especially after the events of the All In special that came out. Like, all right, it's your first day on the job, and like shit hits the fan, right? So there's gonna be some questions, no pun intended, about that. Walking Dead issue number 101. There's one of those covers on here too, right? I think it's the last one. This one. So I'll be picking that up. I think 10. What did I just say? 101. So let's check out 102. Oh wait, no. Yep. Here's that one on 102. Oh man, hopefully it's not gonna keep going. Okay, 103 is when it stops. All right. So I'm gonna be picking up those covers right there. Take, what's up? Yeah. Prince on Justice League Dark. Didn't Rom do a Justice League Dark? Didn't Rom V? Let's see. Yeah, the car wreck issue was really great. That was really cool, especially the. Well, I mean, they were both good, but the issue 2 was interesting as well because the driver was like a writer, wasn't he? And like you read the story, and it was like the opposite of the story that was told. So it was like he was like a precog in a way. That was really cool. Mephisto book. Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yes, you need that kind of vibe. Was that the Ice Cream Sunday edition? Is that what that one was? The hardcover? If you don't understand the philosophy of the story, sure. And it's a they're all single issue stories as well. So for the most part, there's a very loose narrative. And so like it does take some time to like think about it. It's not your Cape and Cowl book where you can just blow through it and it's somebody punching a bad guy. It's more introspective. So you have to think it through. Sucker for X titles, yeah. You've only dropped X Force from the main line and dropped a few new characters focused titles. Yeah. Yeah, we kind of saw that coming, right? They're gonna spin up all those teams again, and then they're gonna have all these individual books. And yeah, some are gonna be good and some are not gonna be good. But unfortunately, from my perspective, generally speaking, this new relaunch is a fail so far. And I don't know how they're connected. Not that they need to be completely connected, but I feel like they should all kind of be going towards the same goal eventually. And we're like 4 or 5 issues into some of these books, and we haven't figured that out yet. So I don't know what we're doing besides getting over the trauma of the Krakoa era falling apart. And each team is handling it differently. So, and that's fine in the beginning, but eventually you need some kind of unified goal. I think. What else is going on? Batman Full Moon issue number 2. So we have Ronnie Barnes on that one. It was a good issue number 1. You can check that one out. It's very timely for Halloween time. But will that be that I don't know, like that vibe is going to go away in a week, right? So how many issues is this book? Do we know? Yeah, this goes all the way through January. So like it would have been really cool to have like issue 3 coming out right now, because then you'd be hooked into the series and you'd have to get issue number 4 in November. And you're still kind of in that fall vibe when you're dealing with werewolves and stuff. So like, you know what I mean? Like that's how I would have approached that release schedule, if that was even possible. Not entirely sure. Yeah, no kidding. And the way that they trade off duties as well, it's really something cool. It's what's funny is I'm reading that book and like I don't even pay attention to it because I'm having such a good time just being in this world. Then I go back and I flip. I'm like, oh, Daniel's here and Riley's here, and then Daniel's over here, and then Riley's over here. Like I didn't even realize that when I'm reading the book, which is a really cool thing. So they're doing a good job with that book for sure. All right, what else? Not reading Thundercats, Predator, Jenny Sparks. I read issue number 1. It was interesting enough, but like I don't have any ties to the Authority at all. So The whole concept was lost on me. But if you're an Authority guy or a DC guy, you might love that book. So Rockefeller's issue number 1, it's the new Ghost Machine book coming out. That's coming out November 20th. Number 1, we have Tomasi on this and Francis Manipul. That's a book I'm obviously grabbing and going to be checking out. All the Ghost Machine stuff has been spectacular so far. So we're gonna be checking out everything that they put out. Standalone mostly had to read every book. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. And then they can weave in and out of each other's plots, right? What else we got? Yeah. I mean, that's my best advice, and you summed it up great right there, is, follow the creative teams, don't follow the character. Because the character will go through highs and lows depending on who's writing and drawing it. And then if you read everything, you're gonna be like, "Oh god, they're doing this again," or "They're drawing him this way? Why?" Or like, "That's not the character's voice." If you find writers you like, I think you'll have a better time. Don't read a Wolverine book because it's Wolverine. Read a Wolverine book because Hickman's writing it or something. Yeah, you don't know if I'm not jaded yet. That's funny. You weren't a fan of the Krakoa era, so, like, what were you there from the beginning, number 1, and what about the Krakoa era didn't you like? Was it the fact that there's so many books? Was it the idea of them having a new world where all the mutants can go on, and they had a council, and there's a lot of betrayals, and, like, eventually it just spun out of control, and we had, what was it? God, I can't remember the all the villains and everything right now. We had, like, the Moira element, and we had everything else, like, what about it didn't you like? Be interesting to know that. Yeah, Fantastic Four style, but yeah, I mean, it's about a family going through time, dealing with all this stuff, and there's a lot of characters, like, that's gonna be an interesting thing to navigate. So, yeah, yeah, they get to go through some time and do some stuff, so that'll be kinda cool. Alright, let's keep going. Nothing else really over there. Vampirella Standstill number 4. Issue 3 was my favorite of the series, so we have issue number 4 coming out. Flash Gordon number 4. It's a character I never thought I'd be reading a comic on. We talked about this before with Dynamite spinning up new books and stuff, and some being amazing and some being like what you'd expect. I think Flash Gordon is one of those books that tilts towards the amazing. So it's a really good one, even for someone like me who I didn't grow up in Flash Gordon, but I know the character from a pop culture perspective, but I just didn't care enough about him to like figure it out growing up. But now there's a comic, and I'm like, sure, I'll check it out, and it's a good one. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, well, that's a whole nother thing. It takes years. I think well, I'll speak for myself. It took me years to learn to pay attention to writers and artists. What happens is what my experience was, you start recognizing artists first, especially on the covers, and then like the interiors and stuff. You're like, oh, I recognize that one from this other book or this other book, and that just takes time in books, to figure that out. Then after a while, you start honing in on you read a book, and if you don't have any emotional attachment to it and you don't like where it was going, and you're like, yeah, I don't really connect with this kind of a thing, just look at that name, right? And look at the character. And you're like, okay, so if it's a teenage character and they're worried about missing school and what their parents think, and they're trying to get a date with whoever, and you don't care about that kind of stuff, kind of like me, stay away from teen comics. You know what I mean? Stay away from the whatever books, those books that focus on that kind of stuff. And then you start paying attention to the writers and like, oh, okay, they keep writing the same kind of theme over and over again. Great example. I mean, like, if you read Tynan long enough, you know what Tynan's all about. If you read Scott Snyder long enough, they're from the same branch. You know a Snyder book after a while. And the same thing goes with all these different writers. It just takes time in books to figure out those patterns. And then you can start honing in on who you enjoy, the kind of story you enjoy, and the kinds of characters you enjoy. And when you can find the time, or we can find a moment where all those are aligned, then you're going to have a great book. So, well, yeah, yeah, I think we all agree on that for sure. Like, it lost its momentum after Hickman left. I mean, we had some kind of beautiful goal. There was a moment in Hoxpox. You probably remember this. If anyone's read Hoxpox, you remember this moment. The Nightcrawler Wolverine moment. That's probably all you need. But they were attacking the base, right? And it was basically a sacrifice mission. It was before we really knew what was going on with the Resurrection Protocol. And there was a Wolverine Nightcrawler moment that still like raises the hair on the arms when you think about it. All right, let's keep going. Lawful Prodigy, Null Hunter issue number 2. Issue number 1 was really great. Walsh is on that one. You can check that one out. Issue 1 was awesome. Eric and Stu, I think, put me onto that one. What else? Yeah, see, my headset went out again. It's really weird. Interesting. Eric, I might have to go and get that headset. Where Monsters Lie, issue number 2. Volume 2, first off. Characters pulled from volume 2. So if you want to get into this, which I recommend you do, it's a funny book. Serial killers, it's hilarious. Read volume 1, then get into volume number 2. It's really good. Yeah, Moira was really great. Yeah, she was such a cool character in the beginning of that whole thing. It kind of got muddied towards the end. I think it was like X lives and X deaths where it started to get like, well, what are we doing? I got her first appearance. It actually inspired me to get her first appearance, UK edition as well. So it's really cool. After it started, it's too serious and too handholdy. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that would be a difficult, to be honest. If you're new to comics, Marvel and DC is not a great place to like jump in. Probably, I'm trying to even think, like, is All In a good place to, I guess All In would be a decent place to jump in. You just have to take a lot of things for granted, right? Like, you just have to understand that, like, there's just a bunch of heroes and they're all together now. There's one giant Justice League now. Oh, and then Darkseid's here and he screws everything up. And there's a multiverse now. So it's like, is it a good place to jump in? I don't know. Yeah, who knows? But Marvel is always very difficult, I think. What's harder, guys? What's harder to get into if you started reading comics today? Is Marvel more difficult or is DC more difficult to get into? Yeah, I know. Just do I want to spend the money on it right now? Does it have a sorry guys, tech question for Eric here. Does it have a mic and can you hear yourself? Or are you deaf to yourself? I mean, I'll use this mic here, but I need to hear my voice because I'm that narcissistic. Yeah. Yeah. That's great artist. Yeah, for sure. Everything Ghost Machine. Yeah. There's a certain early 90s vibe to the Ghost Machine books. I haven't put my finger on it just yet. I feel like it leans towards art, but then the story is like one click below, on most of those books. They've all been great. Like, you can't go wrong with Redcoat and Geiger. Then I would say like Junkyard Joe and Geiger is the best of the best, hands down. And then right underneath that would be like Redcoat. And there's a little bit of there's a gap there, to be honest with you. And then there's a gap, and then it's like Rook. And then Hyde Street #1 just came out. We don't know where that's going to fall yet, but so far it's been great. So, but yeah, Junkyard Joe and Geiger is, for my opinion, the best Ghost Machine stuff. And then there's a gap, and then there's Rook, then there's a gap, and then there's, or flip it, Redcoat, and then Rook. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't deny that. It's the newest thing out. So yeah. Yeah, for sure. That would be a good place to jump in. Well, yeah, well, it depends. Yeah, it certainly depends. If there's an event going on in DC and you're jumping in, just wait for the event to be over. So, an event just started, what, 2 weeks ago? And we just came out of Absolute Power, which was stupid. This is going to be the best time to jump into DC, especially with like the All In stuff. So I'm almost wondering, well, yeah, I mean, you have to the All In Absolute stuff rather. So I mean, you have to read the All In, whatever that it's going to be, book, I don't think you necessarily have to read the individual All In, like All In Batman, All In Wonder Woman, All In, because those are all stories that they're pulling from the previous stuff, right? Like Wonder Woman, that book's just been going on and on and on and on and on. But it has nothing to do with All In, but it has the All In banner. Batman, probably the same. He's coming out of like a rebuilding period, like he always does. And so, yeah. And then Superman, I heard it's good, but like I haven't read it. But you can read All In stuff, like the All In main title, if that's even a thing. And then you can read the absolute titles, and then you'll get the better understanding of like the more distilled stuff you need to know about All In general. So you don't need to read Wonder Woman, the main Wonder Woman run, to get a sense of what All In's about, because it has nothing to do with it so far, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, like I said before, that one's thanks for coming in, by the way. That was like a manga, very, very manga inspired book. So it was pretty cool. Like a girl who like idolizes these champions, and she gets to kind of be a part of that world now. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll learn that about DC. DC goes through an event every single year, and it's an event that the stakes are so high, it's multiversal, right? It's like life everywhere will cease if we don't do something, and that happens every year. We just did it again. In fact, we did it worse. We had two different villains, at least from two different books, from Batman and Superman, that we finished in those books. We took care of those problems. Those problems were not there anymore. And then the next issue was the first issue of Absolute Power, and they resurrected both of those villains, combined them, and then they destroyed the world in one issue. And I'm like, what are we doing? We just took care of those guys. But they needed to kill time, I think. I think they needed to kill time. They needed certain characters to do certain things to set them up for All In. And they're like, hey guys, we need 6 months to go from here to there. We need some kind of mini thing to happen. Okay, let's bring Amanda Waller back. It's like, what? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what double dutch is. What is double dutch? I need to Google that. I'll just agree with you on the basis that you know more than I do about that. Yeah, no kidding. There's so many characters, and they love that. Writers love to bring a character that no one's seen in 15 years, 20 years into the mix and make him like a spotlight character. And then I turn the page and I see him and I go, I don't even know who that is. And I'm coming up on, I'm a couple years away from 10 years of comics. So, oh God, really? Lois Lane has Superman powers seemingly from someone else. Didn't we do that in, um, did we do that in, oh God, the heck was that book? They're making the new movie about it. All Star, right? I can't remember. Anyway, let's go back. We've been sitting here on this week forever. Let's go look and see what we got coming out. Where were we? Vicarious. It was an okay issue, number one. Mugshots, Body Trade, number three. Number one was interesting. I just didn't read number two. I might have to go back and check that one out because I did enjoy it. Let's see. We got Crisis, Sesame Street. Looks like nothing over on this row. Anything else over here? No, no, no. Not interested in most of these. Rogues, Animal, Armored. Armored's a book I want to get into just because I follow the team, creative team. Nope, nothing, nothing, nothing. These are a bunch of reprints. The Woods, Archive. I like that they're doing these archive editions. That's pretty cool. DC's doing it in that little smaller format. Image is doing it in that smaller format now. That's cool. They need to do more of that stuff. All right, I think all of these are going to be like reprints and whatnot. So let me kind of blow through them. Okay, next week. Oh, here we go. What? Jumping rope, as if it wasn't hard enough for one with one rope. That's funny. Wolverine Revenge was so bad. That was the Hickman book, right? It was okay. It's better than the main title, that's for sure. Oh, we already covered that one. Okay. Detective Tom Taylor. Probably not going to keep reading it just because I liked issue number one, but I think it was pandering to me. So I'm like, not again, Tom. Not again, Tom Taylor. Nightwing, new team, right? Dan Waters might be a good time to jump in. Is he writing the previous one? When does Dan take over? 119, Dan Waters, Steve Orlando, Tom Taylor, October 16th. Okay. So then this past week was Dan Waters, Steve Orlando. Okay. Might be time for me to check it out. Okay. All right. I might need to go back and get that one. Saga number 71. What? Look at that cover. So cool. Is that 2 sagas in a row? That's gonna be great. Let's check that release schedule real quick. November, December. I don't know about that. I hope it's true, but that would be a first. So I don't know about that. Somebody said that I should read Superman the All In, but like again, the single character issue books I don't find too compelling at the moment. Then we have Action, we have Uncanny X-Men. We talked about that. Probably the best X-Men book out right now. Absolute Wonder Woman number 2. That's a book I'll be picking up until it doesn't get good, and I can't imagine that it wouldn't. Spawn, we talked about that already. Void Rebels number 14. Foundational book for the Energon universe. So if you don't, if you're not reading that, you might be missing out on some really cool interconnected stuff eventually. But we're 14 issues in, and not a whole lot's happened, to be honest with you. We've seen a lot of characters, and they've gone from A to B, but like, to what end? We discovered like one big secret, like societal secret, cultural secret, and they haven't really done much with it. But it's been fun so far. Turtles number 4. I was pretty hard on number 3 and number 2 and number 1, I think. And I think it was fair to be hard on those books just because we have a new TMNT relaunching from a great writer on IDW with not a whole lot of legacy pull through. So new readers can jump in on this and be excited for it. But I feel like this one turtle at a time approach was a good idea in the beginning, but I haven't liked the execution of it so far. We get the first 10, 15 pages showing where that turtle is. And so far, the stories haven't been too compelling, except for maybe Raphael's. But even then, I felt like I was working through the first half of the issue. And the second half was like, where was this the whole time? And maybe that's part of the journey, but like 3 times in a row, undoubtedly, number 4 is going to be the same way. And I think number 5 is going to feature another character that we know, part that used to be part of the team. So I feel like it's going to repeat that same pattern. Once we get out of that pattern, it's going to be more traditional storytelling, I think. So, yeah. Greg Capullo comments on his color saving Wolverine Revenge, calling out people getting into the business. I don't know. I haven't read anything about that, to be honest. I think that the more I watch podcasts on creators talking about the craft, the timing, the deadlines, the stress level, the workloads, the whatever, the more I listen to people, creators talk about that, the more the more I feel like it's amazing that it ever gets done. You know. But Wolverine Revenge, I mean, that's a book that has no ties to current continuity, so there shouldn't be too many things like pressuring people. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the drama's about, but I'm not really about the drama of anything. So I hate it, you know. I hate when the creative teams have to change, but I'm sure there's a reason. Green Arrow, Chris Condon, sure. Chris Condon's not a writer that I chase yet. Maybe I just don't know better. Excited for Aquaman. Did we already pass it? Where was Aquaman? Or are you just ahead of me? I don't know. I'm glad you're excited for it. The Turtles book is so good. Yeah. Yeah, I like the back halves of every one of them so far. It's good. I think what got me was like I just read 10 pages of like a turtle sitting on a beach meditating. What am I supposed to do? And like fighting random soldiers. And then he jumps into the battle with our other turtles, and I'm like, oh, this is great. You know, like this is what I want. I want these guys back together. It's not that whatever. You dropped it. Trade waiting. Barely moving the plot. Can't remember issue. I can't argue there. Cannot argue there. All right, let's keep going. Iron Man issue number 2. Not reading it. Read issue number 1. Wasn't too happy with it. And I explained that on Nick at Night. You can watch that. Just dropped last night. Spider Boy, Brave and the Bold, Nice House by the Sea. Can't fool me again. Nice try, Tynan. Hyde Street #2, definitely picking it up. Conan, definitely picking it up. Frankenstein, great book. It's just so good. It's like Dracula was amazing. Black Lagoon was awful. And Frankenstein has been great. So definitely check that one out. Power Girl, not reading. Mystique, didn't like issue #1. Batman Offworld, great book. Horrible release schedule, but great book. Yeah. We're one issue in. Did you read Geiger? Let me know if you read Geiger. Volume 1, not this current volume, although the current volume is fine. Did you read Volume 1 of Geiger? Yeah, I know. It's like he just got his stuff back, right? Can you imagine if they're writing Batman? I can't remember who's gonna write Batman next. Is Mark Waid? Who's writing Batman after Chip? Can you imagine if like the first arc he does is he takes away Batman's fortune? It's like, gosh, no, why are we doing that again? I don't know. Maybe the characters have been around too long and it's hard to write a continual story. Maybe they should just stick to 6-issue events and only put them out when there's something important to tell or a good story to tell. Definitely get it. Yeah, for sure. So you got to read Geiger, the first volume. It's like 6-issue. How long is it? I can't even remember. Definitely get that. There's an 80-page giant. Then there's an issue 0, I think, and then it starts this new Geiger run. So if you pick all that stuff up, you learn about his like complete history, his story, and how dangerous the world is that he's in, because you don't really know how dangerous the world is reading this current volume, besides like the random attacks here and there. But there's a whole city and king and things out there in Las Vegas that we haven't seen yet in this new volume. So yeah, exactly. It's like we've been there and done that, and we do it. I hate it for the writer because like he hasn't really done a whole lot, and he gets an opportunity to write Iron Man, and the first thing that they do is do a story that we've seen 100 times. It's like, man. Some books clearly write for trade. You turn that page and it's the last page and they leave it on like a sour note and you're like, what the heck? But then if you think about it in a collected edition, it would just keep going, you know? So what you need to do is you need to have a cliffhanger. So here's the problem too. It's like we have standard lengths for comics, and those standards, there are differences, right? You could have like a 22 page, 24, whatever. You can have 40, 60 something, 80 page. They need to just make sure that every single issue ends on a cliffhanger, because if it doesn't, there's no compelling reason from like a story perspective to get the next issue. If it doesn't leave on a cliffhanger, you better hope that the pages leading up to that moment were compelling enough to want to have to make you want to spend $5 next month. So I think the biggest thing is if you're writing for single issues, you have to satisfy both. You have to satisfy that cliffhanger at the end, and you have to make it make sense in a collected edition as well later, because you make money on the collected edition after the fact. So is it Loeb and Lee? Yeah, I read it before and it's escaping me right now. So sorry, I can't confirm or deny. And I don't think League is caught up yet. That's the other thing too. I read that one. I'm like, wait, did he turn into the dude from Traveling to Mars? Like he was so like he looks dehydrated and old. And then you look at the cover and he's like young and beefy, and I'm like, what are we doing? I don't know. He looks very frail. All right, let's go on. So Feral issue #8, not a story that I'm reading because I know the horror element tropes, but they don't, and I saw them, every single one of them coming, and like I'm kind of over the let's tell a story through an animal's eyes at this moment. And so this book came out at not a great time for me for that mental state. And so I'm like, yeah, he's going to open the door. There's going to be a feral, whatever, a zombie cat in the closet. Oh, yep, there it was. And this one's going to be cowering in the corner and it's going to turn. It's going to have red eyes and attack him. Yep, it happened. You know what I mean? And I was like, eh. And then I couldn't keep track of like the cat's names. And there's like a weird ghost cat in the woods that they talk to once in a while. I'm like, what's going on? So not a book I connected with, but I know so many people have, and I'm glad you guys like it. But not a book that I'm following, to be honest. Blade issue #2. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it's as compelling as the previous story that we came out of, and then they turned into an event for some reason. Um, Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. Love that series. Issue number 6 is out. They could have just ended this book. Maybe in 8 issues. They could have just got the two people together and then found out a way to like understand this evil force and used it against the army that they were once working with, who kind of betrayed them, but they're actually exploring the land now. There's other inhabitants of the land, so they're exploring it more. So I'm happy that they just didn't cut the story. They're actually building it out. So that was kind of cool. I like that. He's drawn as a dying old man. Exactly. Yeah, I didn't get that either, man. Gromit's number 6, awesome book. Slice of life, 80s stuff. It's dangerous. It's bloody. It's got a lot of teenager emotions, so it's actually a really cool book. So you can check that one out. Let's see. Multiverse, Spawn Kills, Red Sonja. Nope. What's down here? Tin Can Society number 3. Really like issue number 1 and 2. So I'll be continuing that book. What else is coming up? Something Crawled Out, Gunslinger. Did I pass the Ron V book? Or is it? Oh, is it this one? I did. Through Red Windows, Joelle Jones. Okay. There you go. Yeah, good call. Yeah, I read that too, that he was that he did a lot of journalism in the past. Yeah. Yeah. I I don't remember what I read the book first, and then I was reading something. Maybe I was reading the back matter in the book after the fact. And I was like, "Oh, this guy's been through a lot and he has a lot of cool experiences, so maybe it'll turn into something good." But again, that first issue just didn't really do it for me. Yeah, I know it is. It actually is pretty good. I think there was a little bit of spec on issue number 1 as well. I couldn't get it. I had one copy, I think, on the shelf, and it was gone by like Friday. So yeah, I lost that one. All right, let's keep going. More Gunslinger stuff. Not getting any of those. We didn't skip anything up here, right? No, we talked about the Rom V book, Distillery. We'll check it out. Joelle Jones is on it, so it's a good team. No. Absolute Batman. Oh yeah, we're getting into those subsequent printings right now. Wonder Woman Noir Edition number 1. That might be kind of cool. Liquid Kill number 2. I checked that book out in the beginning. It didn't really stick with me though. What else? Wonder Woman. Just making sure there's not something like buried in these reprints down here. We got the second print decal foil variant. That's funny. Man, so many second printings and reprints. Planetary Expansion number 1. Might be something going on with that release schedule there, because I think we saw number 4 a few weeks prior. So I don't know. I gotta talk to those guys. Am I not reading Lego? How do you even say that? Ninjago? I don't know. That's funny. No, amazingly enough, I'm not. All right, I think that is it. Only 4 Wednesdays. Only. That's what we usually get, but sometimes we get that 5th. Yeah, like in January. That's funny. Okay, cool. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. I appreciate you guys watching and sharing your comments and your thoughts and what books you're picking up and everything, and keeping the conversation going for about an hour and a half. That's really awesome, guys. I really do appreciate that. Like I said before, we'll be coming back with Blame Fable at the end of November, so pay attention to social medias on that. We're still in Horror Fest. I'll actually be joining Robbie over at Pop Culture Philosophers. We're doing the 1932 Mummy tonight, 6 p.m., I believe. Central over at Pop Culture Philosophers, so you can check that one out as well. I think Herm's going to be going live, going over some Spider-Man stuff later today around noon, so you can check out Big Herm Collectibles. And the Eric 9-Panel Grid and Stu Dr. Doom's Fan Club will be having their panel. We had panel perspectives before, but they also have their new Wednesday show, so you can check that one out as well. So a lot of guys doing a lot of cool stuff. If I missed your thing, I really I apologize for that. But in all my videos, there's going to be links to all their channels, so you can go there and you can go down and you can sub up to all those guys. Check out what they have coming out. So yeah, guys, I really appreciate it. I will talk to you guys later. Peace out, guys. Later.